Coach AC here. This is part one of the three-part series, AC Said, because I said what I said. And it is about nutrition, okay? So remember, I'm answering 5 commonly asked questions as it pertains to your fitness journey. Let's hop right in. So question number 1, I exercise daily, but I am still the same weight, okay? So the first thing I think we need to acknowledge here is that weight and fat are not synonymous. They are not the same. So when we say that we want to lose weight, what we really mean is we want to lose fat, okay? So that's first and foremost. Weight is just a unit of measurement. So let's not confuse the two by using them interchangeably, weight and fat interchangeably, okay? The goal is to lose fat. If your goal is weight loss, you want to lose the fat, okay? So that's first things. In order to cut fat, you have to be in a caloric deficit. Okay, I'm gonna generalize this for the sake of just the series, but you want to figure out what your maintenance calories is and eat 300 to 500 calories below that. That's the only way to cut fat, okay? Of course, if you add strength training to that, we're gonna build some muscle and tone it up, but that's gonna be in another series. So fat and weight are not the same, and in order to lose fat, you need to eat in a caloric deficit, okay? Question 2, how do I know what my maintenance calories are? So, there's a couple of ways that you can figure this out. One, you can buy one of my ebooks, and I have this equation for you. You can jot everything down in there for yourself and get an exact number of what your maintenance calories is. Or you can Google a calorie calculator, enter your height, your weight, and your activity level, and it'll spit out a number of calories for you. That first number that they give you is maintenance calories. That is the number that you need to just survive the day, okay? That means no working out, no extra activity, just waking up and moving about throughout your day. That's the number that you need. In order to eat in a caloric deficit, you need to eat 300 to 500 calories below that, okay? That is how you're gonna cut fat. If you want to build muscle or put on mass, you need to eat in a surplus, so the opposite, 300 to 500 calories above that, okay? So remember, if you're using a calculator on Google, the calories that number that spit out is an estimate. It is not accurate, but it is a really good place to start for you to understand what those numbers are, all right? Question number 3, do I have to track my macros in order to lose fat or build muscle? Short answer, no. But I do think that if you've never tracked your macros at all, I do think it's a good idea to know and understand exactly what you really do eat. There are ways to figure this out and to create, meals and things so you don't have to measure necessarily. But I do think that it is important to know what you actually consume. Tracking your macros does make you a little more aware of, oh, I do eat that and I didn't realize that. Or, man, I do drink this a lot more than I thought. I do drink soda a lot more. So it does make you aware. And it is important that when you are starting on this journey, regardless of what your goal is, that you do have a really good understanding of what it is that you consume, so that whoever you're working with, whether it's by yourself or with your trainer or coach, they know where to cut and where to add. Okay, so short answer, no, but I do think it is a good idea to know. Okay. Question number 4. Should I be taking supplements? I've actually been seeing this a lot more lately on social media, primarily from women. Creatine is a big thing for women right now. I'm not sure why. But no, you don't. Everything that you need is in food, everything. The issue is that a lot of times we don't consume enough natural food, to get all of the nutrients that we need, and so we have to use supplements. The other issue with supplements is that people use them as a replacement and not for what they're actually intended for, supplementing. So you cannot, I'm not gonna eat chicken, I'm just gonna drink my protein shake. That's not what that's for. You need to drink a protein shake in addition to the meals that you have protein in. That is what that's for. It's to supplement. If you are deficient in something, a supplement is good because it's going to give you what you need to fill in the gaps of what you're missing. But if you're taking supplements to replace, that's not what that's intended for. It is designed to supplement what you already do or what you are deficient in, okay? So short answer, no, you don't have to take supplements because everything you need is in food. But if you are deficient or lacking in a certain area, supplements can fill in the gaps. All right, Question number 5. I get this a lot, actually. I eat really healthy, but I'm not seeing any results. Why? There's a couple of things for this. As it pertains to nutrition, since that's what we're talking about, I think it's important to know and to consider you can still overeat healthy food. Okay? Just because certain foods are healthy or labeled healthy does not mean that that's the magic pill for fat loss. That's not how that works. So you can still overconsume healthy foods. It's overeating in general. So you still need to be eating in a caloric deficit in order to cut fat. The other thing is that, like I said, we'll talk about this in another video, but working out also, it matters. But if you are over consuming anything, whether it's healthy food or unhealthy food, you are now eating in a surplus and you're not cutting that fat, assuming your goal is fat loss, remember, not weight loss. So if your goal is fat loss, you always want to eat in a caloric deficit and ensure that you are eating in that deficit, regardless of what kinds of food that you're eating, okay? And so whenever you're in doubt in terms of what kinds of things that you're eating, or if you haven't calculated your calories, if you're not tracking your macros and you're just kind of eyeballing, if you're doing those things, one of the ways that you can kind of ensure that you're eating, I'm going to air quote it, enough, or getting enough nutrients, is limit your starchy carbs. I would cut my starchy carbs in half. I would fill that other half of what would have been a starchy carb with some form of vegetable, preferably green and leafy. And then I would double up on my protein. That is how I would fix my plate, to make sure that I am in a caloric deficit. If you're over consuming carbs, that is, of course, you're going to eat in a surplus. But if your carbs are veggies, okay, they are lower in calorie, but higher in they're more nutrient dense. So you can eat more of them, okay? And also limiting, those processed foods, limiting your chips, your brownies, any baked goods, muffins, things of that nature, cereal, limiting, your cheese intake, your starchy carb intake, chips, things of that nature. You can also limit to ensure that you are not over consuming. Okay, so the more veggies and fruits that you're getting, of course, the lower the calories that you're consuming, so you can be pretty comfortable that you're probably eating in a caloric deficit if you're eating more vegetables, consuming more protein, and less of those heavier starchy carbs and processed foods. All right. So I hope this was extremely helpful to you in terms of nutrition, and it gives you a kickstart and some things to think about as you are continuing on in your journey, or if you are just starting your journey. If you also need help, you can always reach out to yours truly, AC, and I will be glad to help you along this journey. Stay tuned for part 2.